Hey everyone, welcome back to Saturday Night at the Well. It's good to be with you. A couple of announcements before we get started. Hopefully you guys have been following along with our new series at church called Growing Young. It's really cool, and I would, as a youth pastor, love to get your perspective on it. So go ahead and check those out. You can find all the previous sermons and services on YouTube, or if you have the Clayton app, you can check that out too. I like the app. It's so convenient. It's on my phone. I sound old. Anyway, also super pumped because next week is our digital escape room. It's gonna be very tricky, you guys. Very tricky. Especially because I'm the host. So the host has to kind of know what they're doing. Otherwise it can be very difficult. So I'll do my best. I promise to do my best. You promise to come and join us. So if you want to join us, just let us know. We can get you that Zoom link and all the information you need. You gotta come dressed up, put some effort in. You know what I mean? I have my costume ready. Fantastic. So come, best costume will get a prize. What else? I think that's it. I think that's all you need to know. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? We shall. I don't know if your family celebrates Halloween. I know it's kind of like a split thing in the church. Some people are like, oh no, evil, stay away. And some people are like, candy. I prefer to like candy. So I always liked dressing up when I was younger for Halloween. I don't know if I still do. Do have a lot of wigs, which is weird. Mostly for church though. Come on. Yeah, that's what they're for. Anyway, if you celebrate Halloween, cool. If you don't, still cool. But today we're going to talk about, in the spirit of spookiness, we're going to talk about spiritual monsters. Yes, it's cheesy, but you're here, so just roll with it, okay? So we're going to talk tonight about three examples of ways we might not be living life the way that Jesus intended us to. We might not be living in a way that we might be living in a way that's different from the life he came to offer us. And so we're going to talk about three ways that we do that, okay? So the first one is spiritual werewolves, all right? So we all know what werewolves are. It's a super, super popular myth, across the world. So there's different werewolf type myths or legends in Europe, in India, did not know that, even in Haiti, in a lot of different African countries, and obviously here in America, and South America, the Americas. Anyway, but so werewolves are, these half human, half wolf people. They're people, and for whatever reason, they've been cursed or they've been bitten by a werewolf. They turn into a werewolf, and so they're humans for most of the time, and then the full moon comes out and they turn into a wolf. Okay, and they're just like bent on everyone's destruction and turning everyone else into werewolves. So what does that have to do with? Trust me, it's good with our spiritual lives. Some of us are spiritual werewolves. So some of us we have one identity for this set of circumstances, and then another identity for this set of circumstances. So maybe that means, the typical, right? So maybe it means we're one way at school or with a certain group of friends, and then we project another image or identity when we're at youth group or hanging out with our parents, or we see our pastor in the store. You know what I mean? So we change our identity based on our circumstances. And so the cure, right, the way you beat a werewolf is like, what is it? Like a silver bullet or something like that. Ooh. And the cure for spiritual werewolfism is found, yes, open your Bibles because we're going to get spiritual here. It's found in James chapter 4, verses 7 through 8, which says, "So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Yes, please. "Draw close to God, and he will draw close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you hypocrites." I love it when the Bible calls me a hypocrite. That's usually right, though. The cure for being a spiritual werewolf is to humble yourself and confess to God where you've been two different people, or maybe three different people. I mean, you're having an identity crisis, right? God created you to be somebody. He created you to be that person all the time. And so the best place to start is to identify where you've been acting weird and where you haven't been your true self, and confess that to God, and stop being a hypocrite. Stop leading a double life. So that's the cure to being a spiritual werewolf. Almost got to the next one too quick, you guys. Okay, number 2, spiritual vampires, right? The idea of a vampire, or the word vampire, I don't know, was first created or made popular by the novel Dracula in 1879. 97. That's hard. Reading is hard. 1897. You didn't need to know that anyway. So it's vampires, right? They were super popular a few years ago. Twilight, hello. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for those of us who are a little bit older. But vampires, I mean, the idea of vampires have been around for forever, for so long. And it's the idea that these people need the blood of other people to survive. And once they, bite you or something, you turn into a vampire. I don't know the intricacies of vampire culture. But so that's a vampire, right? And so a spiritual vampire, you ready for this one? Because this one hurt a little bit. Spiritual vampires are people who need other people to spiritually feed them and maintain their spiritual well-being. So we constantly need other people to give us like our Jesus fix and keep our spiritual lives going, which is not ideal. It's not how it's meant to be. So, let's see, the cure for a vampire is like what? A wooden stake? Not like the kind you eat, but like a wooden stake gets rid of the vampires. But we're going to read the Bible again. In 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 1 through 3, it says, brothers and sisters. So I think Paul is talking to the church in Corinth. And he says, brothers and sisters, I could not address you as people who live by the Spirit, but as people who are still worldly, mere infants in Christ. I gave you milk, not solid food, for you were not ready for it. Indeed, you are still not ready for it. Ouch. You are still worldly. For since there is jealousy and quarreling among you, are you not worldly? Are you not acting like mere humans? So Paul, I love Paul because he talks a little bit like me in the sense that like you read it and he goes back and forth a little bit and he's showing you like the inner torment of his mind. And you're like, I think I understand what you just said to me, but I'm not quite sure. And I feel like people get that same vibe with me. Anyway, he also just calls people out. So he's like, you guys are babies. You need somebody to spiritually feed you. You're not acting like grown-ups. You are babies in Christ. And I think that God is calling some of us to grow up in Jesus, to grow up in Christ and mature a little bit. God didn't create us to... It's nice. I'll start with this. It's nice to, and good and right to learn from other people, right? Pastors, youth pastors, mentors, people who just want to teach us awesome things. It's good to learn from them and have, it does feed us spiritually, but we weren't created to just get our spiritual feeding from other people. We were created to have connection with God and to receive fresh revelation daily from Him. And so if we're only relying on other people, we're only getting this spiritual infilling secondhand, we're not nurturing our relationship with Jesus. We're not knowing God and being known. We're just learning. And learning is good, but God created us for something so much deeper than that. And He has things He wants to say to each of us as individuals. If I'm only listening to what he said to somebody else, I'm missing out on everything he wants to say to me. So that's being a spiritual vampire. God is like manna. We need him every day. We need him daily. We need to experience his presence daily and not just require somebody else to provide that for us. So that's spiritual vampires. Last one, number 3, spiritual zombies. I don't know if you guys, I don't know who's watching this. I don't know if you guys like zombies. I have like a love-hate relationship with zombies because when The Walking Dead first came out, that series, my husband loved it and he was like, well, let's watch it together. And I'm like, no, thank you. It's terrifying and it's yucky and it's not Jesus. And of course I watched it and it gives me nightmares like a small child. Like I'm not an adult anymore. I'm just a small child and I can't sleep for weeks. So I don't watch zombies anymore. But it's like once he turned it on, I couldn't stop. So it's like love, hate. Anyway, zombies are, people. And usually in movies or shows, there's been like some sort of horrible virus that turns everyone into zombies. And so zombies look alive, but they're dead. Like only the basic parts of their brains work anymore. And they're not really people. They don't have a personality. They're not making choices. They're just going around trying to find brains to eat, I guess. So spiritual zombies are the same thing. They look alive. They're doing all the things that alive people would do. They're walking around, they're going to church, they're hanging out with people, maybe they're going to youth group, whatever. But inside, they know they're just dead. They don't feel anything. It's cold and empty and sad. And so spiritual zombies, and I want to take you to John chapter 11. And I think most of us have probably heard this story of Lazarus being like raised from the dead, not in a zombie way. But Jesus says something so powerful in that story. So Lazarus gets sick and he dies, and Jesus comes and he raises him from the dead, but not before saying to his sister, I am the resurrection. I am the resurrection. And I love that because Jesus did not come to earth to make moral people. He didn't come to earth to make us good people. He came to bring resurrection life to people who were dying, physically and spiritually. He came to bring resurrection to all those places in our hearts and in our souls that were dead or rotting or dying. So beautiful. Isn't this lesson so beautiful today, you guys? Oh my gosh, I'm really feeling it. So that's being a spiritual zombie. So I want you to think for a second, which, if any, of these monsters do you relate to right now? Do you feel like you're leading a double life? Like you can't be one person with every group that you have in your life? Are you one way with your friends and another at church? Do you struggle with hearing from God? Maybe you think, well, God doesn't talk to me. I need to go to other people because I'm not important. He's not going to speak to me. He's not going to bring me any revelation. Are you going through the motions and you feel like it's just not working and you just feel empty inside and like you're missing something? Which one of these do you relate to? Which one are you struggling with? Because there's hope here. I want to tell you, if you feel like a spiritual werewolf, I want you to stop at some point this week, maybe even today, and I want you to get some paper and I want you to write down some thoughts and some confessions for God. Okay? And I want you to think, where do I act differently? Why? What inside me draws me to act differently or to hide parts of myself or to not be the person God calls me to be? And what is the importance of being who God created you to be everywhere you go? I want you to write that down. I want you to think about it. I want you to pray about it. If you feel like you're a spiritual vampire, okay? A while back, we had Grace on here. She did an awesome job, and she talked about spiritual practices. And spiritual practices are all about drawing us closer to Jesus and helping us to become like him. So what spiritual practice are you going to add into your life so that you're not relying on other people to hear from God, but that you open up and create opportunities to hear his voice for yourself, to nurture that relationship with him? Are you gonna start watching or going to church regularly and then engaging with people, like actually taking part in it? Are you gonna start a Bible reading plan? There's an app on your phone. It's so easy. There's thousands of plans that you can read through. Are you gonna fast and pray? Are you gonna join a small group? Are you going to memorize scripture and apply it to your life? All of those things would be awesome ways to hear from God and to keep that relationship going strong. Do you feel like a spiritual zombie? I want you to realize that there is hope, that nothing is too far gone, nothing is too dead for Jesus to not be able to bring it back. And so I want you to stop this week and think about, I want you to realize what you left behind to live a life with Jesus. What parts of you did you nail to that cross? I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to write, this part of me is dead, and write it down, whatever it is. And then I want you to think, and if you need help, just ask God to show you what the answer is to this one. I want you to write, this part of me is now alive. And I want you to think about the places in your life that feel like they're dead, that you think, those are too far gone. Jesus isn't going to be able to bring that back, or it doesn't matter. I want you to write those out too, and I want you to surrender those to him, because there's no place that he can't bring back. There's no place so dark that he can't bring life to it. He is the resurrection and he is the life. So spiritual monsters, man, we are all susceptible to them, being them, knowing them. But I would love to pray for you guys and then send you on your merry way. Maybe go get some candy. Who knows? But let's do that right now, okay? Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you that even when we feel like monsters, you don't see us that way, ever. We don't have to wear that label. We don't have to own that identity. You love us. We are your children. And you look at us and you are so proud of us. And all you want to do is be near to us. You want us to know you. You want us to open ourselves up to be known by you. And there's no better person for us to do that with, God. So whether we struggle with an identity crisis, we don't know who you've made us to be, or we hide who you've made us to be because we don't want anyone to see it or we don't understand it, God, I pray you give us courage to be who you made us to be. I pray that you would reveal that to us when we ask you. If we struggle with not hearing from you, God, I pray that you'd let us know you're there, that you do have things you want us to hear. You have things you want to say to your children, God. I pray that we would begin to nurture our relationship with you so that we might know your voice when you speak to us. And God, all those places in our life that feel like they are dead, like there's no coming back or they're too far gone, help us to know that you are the resurrection and the life. There is no place in our life that you can't work in, that you can't bring back from the dead. And not in a hollow way, in a pure, amazing, in a full way, God. Help us to surrender to you. Help us to know what our real identities are. God, you are so good and you are so faithful. I pray that you would meet us where we are this week. And I pray that we would love you more each day. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Well, I hope you guys, whatever you end up doing, have a safe and a happy Halloween. Hope you take these challenges this week. I know I'm going to. And, go ahead and let us know in the comments which spiritual monster are you and what are you going to do about it? Okay? Have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome week. And we will see you next Saturday here at the well. Okay? Bye.